The air in the crypt was stale, heavy with the scent of dry earth, incense, and the metallic tang of fresh blood, specifically Kale's blood. "Put the gun down, Elara," Lucian said softly. He moved with a predator's stillness, not stepping toward me, yet his presence filled the small stone chamber. "If we wanted you dead, you would have never touched the pavement outside." My heart hammered against my ribs like a trapped bird. Logic told me he was right. A vampire elder and a Lycan Alpha could dismantle a lone hunter in seconds. But instinct, generations of Van Helsing instinct, screamed that I was the mouse inside the snake's coil. "Why did you save me?" I kept the aim steady, though my arms ached. "Because the enemy of my enemy is my complication," Lucian drawled. He turned his back on my gun, dismissing the threat entirely, and knelt beside Kale. The Lycan was groaning, his back against the cold stone wall. The gash on his side was deep, weeping dark blood that sizzled faintly. Void poison. "He's not healing," I whispered, the hunter and me taking over. Lycans healed instantly. "The stalker's claws are laced with necrotic magic," Lucian said, his voice tight. He looked up at me, the crimson in his eyes swirling with genuine concern. "I cannot heal this. My magic is of the blood, cold and static. He needs heat. He needs a binder." I hesitated, then lowered the gun. I hated that I knew what he meant. Silver nitrate and fire cauterization, or a biological anchor, Lucian finished. Someone to ground his humanity so his beast can focus on the poison. "You want me to touch him?" Kale let out a rough laugh that turned into a cough. "Scared I'll bite, hunter, or scared you'll like it?" "Shut up," I snapped, but I holstered the weapon. I walked over to him, dropping to my knees. Up close, Kale was overwhelming. He smelled of rain, wet dog, and cedarwood. The heat radiating off him was like a furnace. His shirt was shredded, revealing a torso of corded muscle slick with sweat and blood. I reached out, my hands trembling slightly. "This is going to hurt." "Do it," Kale grunted, tilting his head back against the stone, exposing the thick column of his throat. I placed my hands over the wound. I didn't have magic, but I had the Van Helsing blood, resistant to curses, stabilizing. I pressed down. Kale roared, his back arching off the floor. His hands shot out, gripping my hips with bruising force. His fingers dug into my tack gear, pulling me closer until I was straddling his thigh. "Easy, wolf," Lucian murmured. The vampire moved behind me. I froze as I felt his chest press against my back. He was a wall of ice to Kale's fire. "I need to stabilize his heart rate," Lucian whispered, his lips brushing the shell of my ear. "And you need to keep him grounded, don't let go." Lucian's hand slid down my arms, his long, cool fingers interlacing with mine over Kale's wound. The contrast was dizzying, fire and ice, life and death, and me, the conduit in the middle. A circuit closed. I gasped as a jolt of energy shot through me. It wasn't pain, it was pure sensation. I felt Kale's agony, his primal rage, but also his intense, confusing attraction to me. And from Lucian, I felt a centuries-old loneliness and a dark, possessive hunger that made my knees weak. "Focus, Elara," Lucian commanded, his voice dropping an octave. He pressed closer, his hips slotting against my backside. "Look at him." I looked down. Kale's eyes were blown wide, the gold consuming the white. He was staring at me with an intensity that stripped me bare. "You're warm," Kale rasped, his grip on my hips tightening, pulling me flush against his groin. Even through the layers of clothing, the hardness of him was undeniable. "The poison is retreating," Lucian noted, his nose grazing the sensitive skin of my neck, inhaling deeply. "But the adrenaline remains." My breathing hitched. The atmosphere in the crypt shifted from medical emergency to something thick and suffocatingly erotic. The danger outside, the banging on the door, faded into a rhythmic backdrop. "You have the blood of the hunter," Kale growled, leaning forward, his face inches from mine. "It sings to the beast, it wants to conquer you." "I'm not here to be conquered," I whispered, though my voice lacked conviction. My body was betraying me. My nipples hardened against the friction of my vest, my core clenched with a sudden, wet heat. "No," Lucian purred, his tongue darting out to taste the pulse point beneath my ear. "Not conquered, claimed." "We're trapped," I managed to say, trying to pull away, but neither of them let me. "We need to focus on escaping." "We are focusing," Kale murmured. He released one hand from my hip to brush a damp lock of hair from my face. His touch was surprisingly gentle, calloused, and warm. The wolf is calm because you are here. If you leave, the poison returns. That's a lie, I breathed. Is it? Lucian challenged. He moved his hand from my wrist to my waist, splaying his fingers over my stomach. Your heart is beating faster, Elara, not from fear. I can hear the difference. The thudding against the iron door stopped abruptly. Silence fell. Then a sound of stone grinding on stone came from the back of the crypt, the secret tunnels of the catacombs. They found another way in, Kale snarled, his eyes snapping to the darkness behind us. No, Lucian corrected, his body tensing against mine. Not the beast, something else. I tried to stand, but Lucian's arm banded across my chest, pinning me back against him, holding me prisoner between the vampire and the werewolf. Stay, Lucian ordered. If you move, the bond breaks. What bond? I demanded. Lucian leaned over my shoulder, his fangs grazing the junction of my neck and shoulder, the one we just accidentally forged in blood.
Want to keep the flame ignited without having to wait for the next part? You can find the full, tantalizing tale on our main page. See the link in the description.